Alright, so we're coming out of the second chorus now, which goes through the same progression. Alright? We're back on electric guitar, and we're going to be coming in hot come the end of this second chorus, okay? So we're going to be full distortion, full everything. And we come in with this run. Okay? So basically all we're doing there is we're playing a B major scale. Okay? I'll show you the B major scale here. But we're starting it in the middle on the F sharp. So we're starting the B major scale on the F sharp, which is the 5th, the 5 of the scale. And we're giving it a little bit of, right, maybe with a little pinch as well, if you can get it. And then, all the way down to the open E string. Okay, so you're going from the 5th on the D string, all the way down the notes of the B scale, until you hit the E, and right after you're done with that, boom, we're into the first section of the bridge. So here comes the first section of the bridge. This is where everyone's got their arms waving in the air. They got their lighters hanging up there. Or, unfortunately, in this day and age, people have their cell phones out. But hopefully some of you still have your lighters. You can use that. Much rather you, fire is a little more, it's a little more in tune with primal man. Anyway, we're getting into this. So let's talk about the distorted, the hard electric guitar first. So the distorted part is going to go like this. So not too much crazy going on technique wise, right? We're hitting the B power chord, hitting into an A G sharp single note, F sharp power chord, E power chord, and then we repeat it again. So on top of that section goes sort of another nice glassy clean section. Now there could be an acoustic there, but this one I'm going to play on the electric because, well, what the hell, we need some variety, right? Alright, so the true function of this, so the true functionality of the first part of the bridge, actually most of the bridge in general here, is played on that clean guitar, believe it or not. That offers the quality of it, while the rhythm guitar gives you that sort of just hard rock, solid bed for everything else to work on, that power that everybody loved in the early 90s, right? So here, we got this, B major, right? So we've officially changed to the key of B major, which has this 11th on top. The open E string creates an 11th sound. Now it's a dissonant sound, however, it sounds very nice, right? Works with the part very well. And then we hit the subtonic 7, but we keep everything the same up top. So this is sort of like the intro again, where we have this higher section that just repeats the same notes, and the bass notes change, alright? So this is being kept consistent throughout the song, which is good writing, by the way. So let's take a look at this chord now. So we have the A, and on top of this we have the notes B, D sharp, and E. Okay, so all you have to do is take that B, D sharp, and E and relate it to A, and that's your chord. So let's take a look. So we have A, the major 9, or the 2, a sharp 11th, or a sharp 4th, and the 5th. Okay, so pretty simple. And all together, it creates that, which is also known as a Lydian sound. You'll hear me say that a lot. Lydian, Dorian, we're going to get modal. Okay, next part is just a G sharp. So this can be considered either a G sharp with an added flat 6 on top, because you have the minor 3rd, the perfect 5th, and the flat 6 added on top. You can think of it like that, or you can think of it as an inverted E major 7th chord, right? With the 3rd on the bottom, the 5th here, the major 7 there, and the root on top. I think that's more of what's going on here, is the inverted major 7th chord. And then we have this, which is an F sharp, which I'd say, instead of calling this an F sharp chord, this is a B chord inverted, because we have a B here, a D sharp, and an E. And then the last chord, perfect way to finish it out, a root position E major 7, with the 5th, major 7, and the root going on right there. And then that goes to repeat one more time, and then we head into the second part, okay, which sounds a little bit different. So let's switch back to the distorted guitar and figure out what's happening there. So heading in there, we have an entire key change. Okay, so we're moving from the key of B into the key of G, right? Well, G/E minor, they're both synonymous with one another, but we're starting with this heavy open G power chord, right? I'll talk about this in Pull Me Under. We have the G on the bottom, the D, open G, and then the 3rd fret of the B string. Now what I'm doing here is I'm playing a C chord, but inverted, you see? So I have the G on the bottom, I'm skipping the A string and muting it, and playing the other 2 notes of the C chord on the top to give it that, that sort of nice pedal tone feel, because that's what's going on in the song. And then I'm going to this. This is kind of like a D with an added 11th in it. Now the bass note is playing an F sharp on the bottom, so it creates more of this kind of feel. But I'm playing it over here just to, you know, add to the arrangement. And then what happens here is an open E power chord, D power chord to C, going to that flat 6 chord, and then this sort of, that is a, I'm going to call this a B sus4. Even though it's a big E power chord, that can be seen as a B sus4 because we have a B, an E, a B, and an E, right? So B, E, B, E, sus4, sus4. And then resolving with that major 3rd going on the B string to a regular old B chord. And then to this little lick in E minor. Now we can assume that this is supposed to be going back to an E minor function. Alright, so basically all that's happening there is you're hitting the open E, then down, up, with a slightly muted type of function on the low E string, but then not muted on the A, on the 5th fret. Then we're hitting this twice, then back down to an F sharp with that beautiful beautiful quarter note triplet, stop, into the guitar solo we go. Clean section starts off on a G, going between that and an added ninth on the same chord. So we have our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and we're moving in that type of motion, right? Low E string, D string, open G, back to the D, and then we hit the 9th on that 2nd fret of the G string, which is the note A. Next chord is just a regular kind of C, right? We're going, just arpeggiating an open C chord. And then here, for the D chord, we're going on top of an F sharp. We're going like this. So we have the D over F sharp shape here, but then we're adding the open E on the top for that added 9th, right? And play it in that sequence. And then we hit the E minor section, which we're going to play an E minor add 9, but like this. So it's almost like a scalar type of motion, right? We have the open E on the bottom, the E on the 7th fret of the A, F sharp on the D string, and the G, which is the flatted 3rd on the open G string. And then we have this D, the D6 with an added 4th, right? Because you have the D, the F sharp, G, which is the 4th, and B, which is the 6th. And then we have this nice, beautiful C chord here, the C arpeggio, one of my favorites. Okay, so that one right there, we want to take some time to maybe appreciate it a little bit. Just sit and let's listen, let's bask in that. It's a beautiful sounding chord. So we have the root note on the A string 3rd fret. Then we have our sharp 11 or our sharp 4. So yeah, we actually have a lot of dissonance in here, but you can make dissonance sound wonderful if you know how to use it. So you have the F sharp on the D string there, and then the open G to the 3rd fret of the B, which is the 9th. So we have an added 9th in here as well as a sharp 11, and then the major 3rd on the high E string. Okay, so we're basically just changing notes around to keep that open G string ringing through the entire part, right? So every single one of these chords, from the E minor to the D, has that G string ringing out the entire time, right? So that's another good compositional device. Keep as many common tones as you can running through a part so that it's seamless, even when you change things that make it sound a little bit more exotic. You keep it familiar while going exotic, if you know what I'm saying. It's a bit of a paradox, but hey, we're just going to figure it out as we go along, all right? Alright, so let's get deep into that solo section right there. So basically what's happening with the rhythm guitar part, it's just verse 2, or really the verse progression in general, just with heavy guitar. So let's entertain this for just a second. Let's take a look at this, how the song progresses, right? The verses get more intense as it moves on, right? As the song goes on. We have less instrumentation, more simplistic instrumentation in the beginning, and then it kind of evolves a little bit more. It becomes louder, more dynamic, right? More powerful as the song moves on. In verse 1, we have acoustic piano, and then the volume swells come in just to give a little bit of that extra boost or interest in that section. The second verse, we have piano along with acoustic and clean guitar moving through with the arpeggios to accompany it. So more of like a, mezzo forte kind of thing. Once it hits the guitar solo, we're in the verse, but we're hitting full-fledged power chords, full high gain Mesa Boogie distortion, right? So it's just the same progression as the verse as it was earlier in the song, just with distortion. Now let's take a look at some of these licks in the solo. So we start off, everything stops, and we wail on this half-step bend on the 11th fret, going like this. Hold it nice and steady, and then we do a... So that's the first lick of the song, right? We do a half-step bend on the 11th fret of the B string, and then do a little bend release, and then come off the note, and then we come back into it, and then we do it again. So this is outlining the G sharp minor chord, and sort of heading into the E chord as well, and it's flat 3, 2, and 1. Now coming out of this, that's the next lick. Now that's happening over the F sharp, right? Which is outlining the F sharp chord. So that right there is a full step bend going from the 4th to the 5th of the F sharp, back to the 4th. So this is like a sus4. And then we're doing this pull off, or hammer on pull off, from the 11th to the 12th. Now that is an F sharp major triad in second inversion. So the 11th fret here is the A sharp, 11th fret here is the F sharp, and that's the C sharp. So I'm just going right down the chord. Okay? And we move on now, hitting the E chord perfectly on the root note. Coming up to the 5th, little bendy bend, half step bendy bend, resolving into the 3rd of the B, right? So perfect resolution, right? So coming out of the F sharp from the A sharp into the E chord, resolving to the B chord, and then we continue on with this legato run. Okay, so that brings us into the A chord, because if you take a look, we're scaling up on this A sharp. And then we hit the A natural on the way down with that lick, with that legato kind of feel. Now technique-wise, let's take a look. So we're going... So always look on where you're playing the pull-offs and where you're picking. So we're going like this. Hammer on, pick, pull-off, pick, and then double pull-off with... starting with the pinky, middle, and pointer, going down that A major type of thing, and then into the, and that leads perfectly into the F sharp chord. Just great voice leading. And then we head to the first fast lick of the song, right? So this is where it gets fun. So here we're shredding up, right? We're starting at the 13th fret of the D string, and we're actually going into a couple of different positions of this same scale. So we're still playing up a B major scale, but you know, we're starting on different notes. So here we're starting on the note D sharp, which is on the 13th fret of the D string, and we're gonna go like this. Okay, so let's kind of just unpack that bit by bit, because once again, these fast sections can be very difficult to navigate if you're not really in tune with how to play these bursts. You know, just imagine just like a bursting, right? That's your hand, that's your right hand. Now we're starting with this first burst, triplet, triplet, right? 16th note triplet. It's a good way to practice it too, it's just by doing that over and over again. Just like that. And we're going 13, 14, 16, 13, 15, 16. Okay, so we're going like this. We're playing up as if we're on top of the F sharp chord, which we are on the F sharp chord, right? Now we're going like this. Moving into the next position, 3 notes per string, 14, 16, 18, and then 15, 16, 18. Okay? Continuing up that, 16, 17, 19, 16, 18, 19. And then we're going to hit this next bend with a little half step release coming in there to give it a little extra, you know, almost kind of a little bit of bluesiness to it, right? So instead of going the full whole step, we're going half step, right? So it does add a little bit of bluesy element to it. So that's that fast part, right? So once again, fast bursts, 16th note rhythm. And not stopping at all. Why stop? How can you stop during a fast part like that? So immediately following that fast part, we head into this sort of bendy section once again. We go. So there, we're coming in with the 21st fret into the 19th to the 21st of the E. Full step bend on the 21st, and then we're doing a full step and a half bend, right, for that and effect. And then that's resolving into the F sharp, right? Just doing that little scale pattern. Now here is another fun part. This is where we get into this sort of G sharp minor pentatonic type of lick, but super quick. With a little bit of economy pick in there too. Now let's unpack how we would play that technically speaking. So we're on the 19th fret of the high E going to the 16th, right? Now when we reach the next string, we're actually going to sweep from the 16th of the E to the 19th of the B, right? So you're going, and that's how you get those notes out nice and quick, is you actually sweep down the scale and then you pull off. So down pick, sweep, and then a pull off. So down, sweep, pull off, and then we keep on going down to that 18th fret of the G, and you just continue that pattern down until we end on that, right? And then we kind of continue on with another pull off with a straight up playing around with the B major arpeggio. B, F sharp, D sharp, right? Sounds like we're about to play the entertainer there, huh? Right? Don't tell anybody about that. Okay, so then we continue with this. So we have to get to the A chord somehow, and this is the way that JP moves into that A chord seamlessly, right? We're going up with this pentatonic pattern. So that's just like a 1, 2, 3, 5, 1 on the B chord. As simple as it gets. And then we just hit the 1 of the A chord, which normally in the scale would be at the 18th fret instead, but since we're changing chords, we have to move with that chord, right? We can't just follow the scale if it doesn't comport to the chord progression, right? Alright, now the next part is just a series of high sliding power chords descending down the neck. And as long as you know where the whole steps and the skips are, you'll be fine. So we're starting off on the 19th fret of the B and the 21st of the E. Then we slide down to 17 and 19. Then 14 and 16, 12 and 14, 19 and 11, sorry, 9 and 11, 7 and 9, and to get that quick you just go. So basically we're doing 2 picks, alternate pick, and then down pick this, slide, alternate, down, slide, up, down, slide, up, down, slide, up, down, slide, up. So up, down, slide, up, down, slide, up. Then we end off the solo, and I'm sad to say we've already come to the end. It's not a very long solo, but it's a great solo. So we're going with this sort of, it's like a trilly, tappy kind of thing here. So we're going like this. We're going to be trilling like this, really for one beat, and then we're also going to add a tap on the 12th fret of the B string in addition to this. So we're going 5-7 trill like that, and then we're doing the same thing on the 4th and the 5th fret. So you're kind of going like this. You tap, pull off to the 5th fret, trill, and then tap, pull off to the 4th, trill. And then we end finally on the note C sharp, 6th fret of the G, and we are donezo with another day's solo. Congratulations, you made it through another Dream Theater song. Now all that happens at the end of another day, comes back to the chorus, it ends on that F sharp chord, and we hit a sax solo on the way out. I'll just make a real quick comment about the final chord in the song. It really doesn't do anything spectacular. Basically all that happens here is we just go like this. So it just plays this chord at the end, which is kind of like an E add 9 with an added B on there. So open E, 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret D, 4th fret G, and open B, right? Beautiful sounding chord, right? Perfect for Jay Beckenstein to improvise over. Alright everybody, thank you once again for tuning in for another episode of Let's Learn Images and Words, or really another episode of one of my guitar videos in general. I also have another playlist for Metallica's Kill 'Em All that I did before this, and there's going to be many more to come in the future. And to help me along with that, you can go to subscribestar.com/RomanOva Music, and you could subscribe to the channel. You can become a paid patron, and you can help me move this along and get better stuff, and well, actually make it worthwhile for me to keep on doing this, because this stuff takes a lot of time. But anyway, you can also visit my website, www.romanovamusic.com, where I give lessons. I can give production tips. If you're looking to write a song, I can help you do that. I can straight up write music for you too. Whatever you need for your artistic endeavor, I am here to enhance it. Alright everybody, thank you, and I'll see you on the next one, which is going to be Take the Time. So you're going to want to take the time on that.